As you are aware, thyroid hormones are produced by thyroid gland in response to thyroid stimulating hormone released from anterior pituitary. And this thyroid stimulating hormone TSH from the anterior pituitary is released in response to thyrotropin release hormone from hypothalamus. So ultimately, hypothalamus is responsible for the control of the production of thyroid hormones. So in response to TSH, thyroid hormones are produced. They are of two types, T3 and T4, and they have a wide range of functions in almost all parts of the human body, including growth and development and metabolism, etc. Of course, functioning of the thyroid gland is regulated by means of a negative feedback system. So we are going to see these things in detail. It is located, this thyroid gland is located just below the larynx, and each of them is normally 15 to 20 gram in adult, and you see one of the largest of the endocrine glands. It is producing two types of hormones. Thyroxine is called T4 and triiodothyronine is called T3. Tri means three. Three iodine atoms are there, and thyroxine consists of 4 iodine atoms. And both the hormones increase the basic metabolic rate or metabolic rate of the body. And if there is a lack of the thyroid secretion, then the metabolic rate will fall drastically. And if the thyroid hormone is produced in excess, it will increase the metabolic rate to a very high level. As I told you, TSH is regulating or stimulating the production of thyroid hormones. About 93% of the hormone is actually thyroxine T4, while the remaining 7% is T3 or triiodothyronine by quantity. And all the thyroxine is finally converted into triiodothyronine by the loss of one iodine atom. So actually both the hormones are important. But there is a matter. Triiodothyronine is responsible for the vast majority of the actions of the thyroid hormones. Or we say T3 is much more active than T4. Most of the actions of the thyroid hormone is because of the action of T3, triiodothyronine. And since T4 is converted into T3, always there will be T3 in the blood. But the concentration of T3 in the blood at any given time is very little, and its lifespan also is very little in the body, in the blood. This is the thyroid gland. You can see blood supply is there. The colloid is there, into which the thyroid hormones are present. The cells secreting the thyroid hormones can be seen here. So this is the thyroid gland actually, the follicles. So this thyroid gland is composed of nearly 100 to 300 micrometer sized follicles. So this is a follicle, this is a follicle, this is a follicle. So each of these is actually in this figure. How many follicles are there? 5 follicles are there. And this is filled with a secretory substance called colloid, and it is lined with a cuboidal epithelial cell. So this is the colloid. This is the colloid. It is lined with the epithelial cells. This is the lining of the epithelial cells. And these epithelial cells are secreting the hormones into the interior. That means into this colloid. The major constituent of the colloid is a glycoprotein called thyroglobulin. A glycoprotein called thyroglobulin. And this thyroglobulin contains the thyroid hormones within its molecule. So once the secretion is entering into the follicle, it is absorbed back through the follicular epithelium into the blood. You know that surrounding the follicle, blood is there. So once it is reaching the blood, it will travel throughout the body. Remember, thyroid gland has a blood flow 5 times the weight of the gland each minute. That means a very large amount of blood supply is given there, so that all the hormones, once released into the blood, can be removed from there quickly from the site of the glands. You see, iodine is required. Actually, iodine is a part of the thyroid hormone. You can see how much iodine is required. 50 milligram in 1 year. So, daily requirement is very little. And nowadays, you know that the table salt we are using is actually iodized. So, we ensure that we get iodine in our body. And that's not a big thing for us because we are actually living nearby coastal areas. So our soil contains actually iodine. So the vegetables we are consuming actually contains iodine. But in some parts of the world, the soil may not contain iodine. They are using iodized salt is actually compulsory. Otherwise, we will have shortage of thyroid hormones in the body. The iodides ingested orally are absorbed from the GI tract into the blood. And most of this iodine is secreted by the kidney, and almost 1/5 are selectively removed from the circulating blood and by the cells of the thyroid and used for the synthesis of thyroid hormones. Iodide pump is there. There is a mechanism for iodide trapping because the body wants to prevent loss of iodine from the body. You see, from the blood into the thyroid glandular cells and follicles. The basal membrane of the thyroid has a specific ability to pump the iodide actively, and so it can be removed from the blood circulation. Concentration is almost 250 times, and the rate of trapping is influenced by several factors. For example, TSH. TSH is a thyroid stimulating hormone, and it stimulates the pumping of iodine atoms. This is the cellular mechanism for iodine transport. This is the cell and iodine is being pumped there, and it is used for the preparation of thyroid hormones, and the thyroid hormones in turn are secreted into the blood supply. Thyroglobulin made in the endoplasmic reticulum and Golgi apparatus consists of nearly 70 tyrosine amino acids, and the thyroid hormones are formed within the thyroglobulin molecule from the tyrosine amino acids. Iodination of tyrosine is actually called organification. This iodine is combining with the tyrosine molecule. You know that an enzyme is involved for this. As soon as the thyroglobulin molecule is released, it is secreted through the apical cell membrane into the follicle, and iodine binds with about 1/6 of the tyrosine amino acids. Tyrosine first becomes monoiodotyrosine, then diiodotyrosine, and these are actually combining together, combining with one another to form the T4. So the major hormonal product of the coupling reaction is thyroxine, which is T4. Then one or more monoiodotyrosine couples with one molecule of diiodotyrosine to form tri, because 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. Monoiodotyrosine contains 1 iodine. Diiodotyrosine contains 2 iodine. 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. So triiodothyronine is formed. And each thyroglobulin molecule contains up to 30 thyroxine molecules and a few triiodothyronine molecules. This is the formation. This is tyrosine. Iodine is added. One iodine atom is added here. Monoiodotyrosine is formed by the activity of iodinase. One more iodine is added. Diiodotyrosine is formed. Then one monoiodotyrosine plus one diiodotyrosine. You can see here. This was derived from monoiodotyrosine. This was derived from diiodotyrosine. What is produced is actually a triiodothyronine molecule. T3 is produced, or two molecules of diiodotyrosine molecules. That means these molecules, two of them may combine together to produce a thyroxine molecule. Release of thyroxine and triiodothyronine. Thyroglobulin itself is not released, remember. Instead, thyroxine is released, triiodothyronine is released. They are cleaved from the thyroglobulin and then they are released. You can see the mechanism, etc. here. Okay. Anyway, finally, T3 and T4 are released into the blood circulation. And what is the function of deiodinase enzyme? It is responsible to make the removed iodine available for recycling. So if there is an inborn absence of deiodinase enzyme, then people will become iodine deficient because recycling does not take place and the body may not have sufficient amount of iodine in the body. See, about 93% of the thyroid hormone is thyroxine and only 7% is triiodothyronine. And thyroxine T4 is slowly deiodinated. And about 35 micrograms T3 per day is available for the body. And once released into the blood circulation, this T3 and T4 are bound to plasma proteins. Thyroxine binding prealbumin and albumin are the major proteins. They are the proteins, and also thyroxine binding globulins also are there. So these are the two types of proteins. And these hormones are slowly released into the tissues. Half of the thyroxine in the blood is released to the tissues every 6 days, whereas half of the triiodothyronine is released into the cells in about 1 day. Because T3 has a lower affinity for the cells and for the proteins, carrying proteins. And once they are released into the tissues, both T3 and T4 bind with the proteins inside the cells. And again, thyroxine is binding more strongly. In the blood also it was the same case. Thyroxine is binding more strongly than T3. And this time they are stored in the target cells and they are used for signaling purposes. They have a slow onset and long duration of action. After injection of a large quantity of thyrox into the body, there is no effect during the first 2-3 days. That means there is a long latency period. Thereafter, its activity begins and it will reach maximum within 10 to 12 days. And the half-life of the hormone is about 15 days. Means after 15 days of injection or 15 days after injection, half of the amount will be removed from circulation. That's it. And sometimes the activity persists as long as 6 weeks to 2 months. You know that T3 is more potent than T4. Okay, this is the graph. See, thyroxine is injected on day 0. By day 10, you can see here, by day 10, the metabolic rate reached a maximum. Then slowly it is reduced. By over 40, by days 40, 45, etc. Again, the basic metabolic rate is actually minimum. What are the physiological functions of thyroid hormones? We will see in the next slide.